Hey everybody, this is Jesse here at Jesse Lee Strength and Fitness. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to be reviewing this past Sunday's workout, and just as a recap, this is going to be a transition phase from largely a running-based program with some strength training to largely a strength training program with very little running. So some running is going to be involved in this over the winter time, but we're transitioning away from the running a little bit more to focus on strength. So my program will look at something like this. I'll lift twice during the week. So that's going to be the weekdays. There's going to be a squat session, which will include bench press. And then there will be a deadlift session, which will include overhead press. And then on Sundays, I typically would do more of kind of a full body heroes workout, we're going to call it. And that's going to include hip thrusts and typically about a 3 exercise circuit. And that is done. That's time where I get to spend time with my girlfriend. We come out here and we lift together on Sunday, and we can watch some football or something like that afterwards. So here's this recap of Sunday, just to kind of give you an idea of what these Sunday sessions look like. The goal largely is for glute training and a little bit of more hypertrophy. Not as much of the strength component, but strength is definitely a part of it because I will be progressing this lift. The hip thrust is kind of the main strength movement in this one. So on this, I typically hit 2 to 3 sets of hip thrust after my mobility. And at this point, I'll look to drive that number up into the 250s or 260s, maybe 270s. But right now, we're at a kind of long, slow, linear progression. This is a 185. I did a set of 15, rest, and then a set of 9. So basically, I'm kind of just taking the glutes to failure with 2 sets. So the next week, probably add a little bit of weight, and then I'll do that. And sometimes I'll add a third set. Sometimes I'll do some single leg work in there, but that's generally it. 2 to 3 sets of hip thrust to get a really good glute pump. And then we move into the circuit training, and that typically is going to be chin-ups, some type of lunge or split squat, and then dumbbell bench press. So I do that, basically for hypertrophy training, try to get a bigger chest, get stronger, generally in my vertical pull, build some lats. These are kind of support to the larger lifts that I do during the regular week. So I did weighted chin-ups. I just did 15 pounds. The first set was really hard. I did 3 there, and then I was able to So I run this as a circuit. So I hit the chins, I hit some lunges, and then I hit the bench. I like to go upper, lower, upper, and that. And, getting close to that set of 15, whereas I'm trying to get those round numbers. So if I hit 3 sets of 5 and I do that pretty well, then I'd probably go up a little bit the next week. But until I can do that, I probably don't go up. This was a 30-pound dumbbell fat grip. So I put the fat grips on my dumbbells and do driveway lunges. While the weather's still nice, it's really nice. I can go out there and do lunges down my driveway. I do 15 out, 15 back, and that gets me both 15 reps for each leg. And then also after that, I do dumbbell bench press. At this time, I did 45 pounds, and I'm shooting to get for about 15 reps. So since I got 3 by 15 on that one, I'll probably bump to 50s next week, and then I'll hit that 8 to 12 range for a little bit, and then I'll bump into that 12 to 15 range after that. And I'm just trying to get some of that hypertrophy rep ranges. And then on my finisher, I did 20 toe squats, which largely focus on building up, just pumping a bunch of blood into the quads, and then some incline push-ups to pump a bunch of blood into my chest. So that's basically the deal on the Sunday workouts. And there'll be variations of that. This might switch to some kind of split squat. Maybe it's a front foot elevated reverse lunge. Maybe it's a barbell split squat. Maybe it's some step backs, something like that. The chins I'll probably continue to run because I really enjoy that movement, and I will add weight as I get stronger. And the same thing with dumbbell bench press. Right now I've got dumbbells up to about 65. So I've got plenty of room to roam there. And that's pretty much it. So that's kind of gives you a breakdown of the program. And these next videos will largely focus in on the strength and recapping my strength sessions. If you want to look back at previous videos, I've done an entire recap of my entire training regimen through the spring and the summer with running, where I culminated in a 10K where I won my age group. and I'm feeling really good and confident about that. So the seasonal kind of idea of training, of really trying to focus on getting strong this winter and then back into the saddle of running next spring and summer. So with that, thank you so much. Have a good day.